Tempers flared on Talk TV as Kevin and Robert Lowe clashed over Britain's migration crisis. The debate exploded over millions in compensation for illegal arrivals and a woke judiciary blocking deportations. Robert delivered a blistering critique, declaring illegal means illegal, and promoting mass deportations through his Restore Britain movement. The explosive exchange left the studio stunned. Watch the clip. First off, if you haven't jumped on board yet, hit that subscribe button and join this little family that's growing thanks to you.
A couple of things I wanted to ask you domestically before we return to what's going on in America, Rupert. What do you make of these 200 migrants who were processed at the Manston Airport Processing Centre in Kent? They're in line apparently for millions of pounds of compensation after suing the government for being detained in allegedly inhumane conditions. This was after they crossed the channel illegally to unlawfully break into Britain. Why are we allowing them to do this? Why are the UK taxpayers paying for their lawyers to sue this government? Can't we stop this? This is nonsense, isn't it?
Well, I think the answer to that, Kevin, is that, as I mentioned earlier, Tony Blair and his cohorts have undermined Parliament and undermined the British legal system. So it's all very well for laws to be passed in Parliament, and you know, I voted last night against this ridiculous second reading of the Chagos Islands surrender, which is another blot on this administration's record. So what happens is you end up with laws being passed in Parliament, which ultimately in 2016 people voted for a sovereign Parliament in Westminster, which governed from in the interests of the British people and in the interests of the British taxpayer, as you say. What happens is you get these illegal migrants. I mean, in my book, illegal means illegal. They come here illegally. There are a lot of them living here illegally. There are a lot of foreign criminals in our prisons who have committed crimes here. And what happens is they go to this woke judiciary that we've now got, which I think is also pretty dishonest now. I mean, I'm having some issues with the Bar Standards Board. That's supposed to be their regulator. They've been criticised heavily. They're out of time or overtime in my case. So I think what happens is you get cases coming before our judges, and our judges put the global law ahead of British law. So they would rather take their sustenance from the ECHR or other globalist agenda rather than British law, which should trump everything else, in my opinion. So I think this is the issue we've got about wrestling back control of Parliament by the elected MPs and taking it back from the permanent secretaries and from the judiciary and from people who are unelected and from all the quangos that Blair and his cronies effectively, very cleverly used to undermine Parliament's sovereignty. So know that thousands of people have now voted, the system's working extremely well, and it's an almost unanimous response in favour of detaining and deporting people who live here illegally, who come here illegally, and obviously of foreign criminals in our prisons. So, you know, Restore Britain, not only have we now got our whistleblowing line for public sector abuse of taxpayer funds, which is throwing up some fascinating things which I can share with you in due course. We've also now got this vote. We're going to close it tomorrow. And I think the results of it are going to be fascinating. So if people want to start participating in a more direct democratic movement, which is what Restore Britain is, it's not a party, it's trying to unify common sense and trying to hold to account a civil service and a government that is no longer, I think, operating in the interests of the British people, but operating in its own interest. Okay. So we've got to start this, and the more people who sign up to Restore Britain, the more people who vote in these polls, we're going to also open up the whole platform so that people can feed in their own suggestions of putative policy. I think, you know, we've been putting forward policy, and we'll have votes on lots of different policies. So I think the fight back is starting, Kevin, but there's the sort of weight of this long period of undermining of Parliament, it makes it very difficult. And the only way it's going to change is if the majority of the decent British people who still work hard, pay their taxes, and have some form of national pride, which is, I think, reflected in the flags that are flying everywhere. And I'm putting